the circumstances, people probably want to get home. Are you all set, Laura? Okay. Joe, Mary, we're ready to go here.
Mary Neubauer.
Joe Fitzgerald.
No. I just wanted to tell you I'm going to start. I got to read
Oh.
my stuff.
Oh, okay.
You're good, though.
We're done. We can go home now.
Okay, this... What is this? This meeting of the City of Kingston Zoning Board of Appeals will now come to order. It is 6:02 p.m. My name is Tony Argulewicz, and I will be chairing this proceeding. I will take a moment to explain how the Zoning Board of Appeals functions. The board is comprised of 5 members and 2 alternates. We have been appointed to serve the citizens of the City of Kingston. We perform this service to the best of our abilities and on a voluntary, unpaid basis. The other board members are Mary,
Mary Neubauer.
Joseph Fitzgerald.
Brian Cafferty. Owen Harvey, alternate.
go ahead, say.
Argulewicz, also alternate.
Okay, this evening, we have Joe, Brian, John is absent. Mary's here. Ari's here. Ari, you'll be voting this evening. Ari?
He just went to get a chair.
All right. We'll wait till he gets back. Ari, you'll be voting this evening, okay? Yes, since John Bonavita-Goldman is absent.
We're going to go.
Big deal.
There will be a period for public comment this evening after each variance request has been presented. This period is an opportunity for individuals to make a statement of opinion, not to engage in debate. Each speaker must state their name and address for the record. Speakers must be brief and to the point to allow everyone a chance to speak. Speakers must address the board as a whole, not individual members, and not other speakers or audience members. A professional demeanor is expected. First order of business, do we have the 117 Tremper Avenue applicants? Okay. All right, there was a little mix-up in communication. If you recall, we had a area variance for 117 Tremper Avenue on last month's agenda, and we had tabled that in order for a fire inspection to occur, and fire inspection occurred. Mr. Knox? 117 Tremper Avenue, the fire inspection occurred?
Yes, the fire inspection did occur. Deputy Chief Ray went over and took a look, and they have no problem with the building situated the way they proposed. They feel they can get their equipment around the building safely.
So I'd like to add them to the agenda, 117 Tremper Avenue. Do I have a motion to add to the agenda area variance for 117 Tremper Avenue, please?
So moved.
Joe, second.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Mary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we have 5 voting, 5-0. Okay, there's Ari. Ari snuck in there, okay. I guess in looking at this, Owen is an alternate. There's just really one item on the agenda that you're not able to vote on, but you certainly can vote on the rest of the items as a voting member. We'll have six voting, but I guess we're only supposed to have 5. So, 1, 3, yeah, you're still alternate. Because we'll have 5 voting. Okay, going to take a little liberty here on the agenda, and I'm going to move number 4, which is the appeal of the determination of the City of Kingston ZEO as it relates to the Kingstonian development. Letter dated from Mr. Kitchen, 9/27/19. Last month's meeting, February 13, 2020, we heard arguments from 2 parties, from 2 attorneys regarding the appeal of the ZEO's determination. So I'm going to put that number 1 on the agenda, and we'll discuss that while everybody's fresh and ready to go. Before I do so, I need to enter into the record correspondence related to the matter received prior to 2/28/2020, which we set the deadline as public comments on this matter, and we received 3 letters. One dated 2/28/2020 from Sarah Wenke. Second letter dated February 28, 2020 from Emily Svensson, attorney at law, Poughkeepsie, New York. And Ms. Wenke lives in Kingston. And then a third correspondence from attorney Michael Moriello, 111 Green Street, Post Office Box 4465, Kingston. So we had 3 letters received prior to 2/28 regarding the appeal. Okay, I'm just going to say a few words, and then I'll be reading a resolution. At the start of last meeting, I requested that the attorneys representing the 2 involved parties be concise and to the point, keeping in mind that board members are neither attorneys nor judges. Both attorneys complied, and I would like to thank Mr. Moriello, who I don't see here, and Ms. Polidoro. I don't see her here either, but anyway, I'd like to thank both of them for their professionalism and convincing arguments in this appeal. Both of you did your job well. I also would like to thank Mr. Kitchen, the City Zoning Enforcement Officer, for performing his job, which he legally has a responsibility to do, and that is to interpret our city zoning code when determinations are needed. Finally, I would like to thank the principal owners of both sets of properties for making significant investments in our city and fostering new and exciting development of our changing landscape, which is becoming the new Kingston. And now it is time for the board to do our job and as lay citizens make a decision. We must now become judges. However, there still remains a last party that must do their job, the identity of which will be addressed in the resolution. With that being said, I read the following resolution for discussion and approval. I'll ask for a motion to approve in a second, and then we'll have discussion. Laura, if at any time, since this is the legal part of this, you not clear or whatever, please just interrupt me, okay? Yes. Yes, let's close the 28th. Thank you. Okay, I also have failed to mention Mr. Kitchen is here, Mr. Knox, and Mr. Gartenstein are here, and we have Laura Cortolo, who is our stenographer, and we have a transcript of this meeting, legal transcript. Okay, resolution, findings of fact and conclusions. This board agrees with the zoning enforcement officer that the term, quote, "site enhancements" refers to construction on vacant property, and that, quote, "building enhancements" refer to renovations to existing structures. As such, this board rejects appellant's argument that the new construction of residential units is not permitted in the mixed-use overlay district. This reading of the code is consistent with the stated purpose, which is to promote residential development within the district. This board has also considered appellant's argument that the affordable housing requirements of the statute must be applied to all development in the district. While the legislature may have intended this result, the plain language of the statute provides otherwise. Specifically, this board agrees that the affordable housing requirements of the statute apply to adaptive reuses of structures and do not apply to new construction. While this board agrees with the conclusions of the zoning enforcement officer based on the plain language of the code, this board would be remiss in its responsibilities if it did not further address the issues raised by appellant. The City of Kingston's current zoning code was initially adopted in 1963 and has been amended repeatedly since that time. This board finds, based on its review of the record, that the language of the current code discourages progress and development in a city that has fundamentally changed since the adoption of the controlling legislation. It is the finding of this board, based upon the litany of applications brought before it, that the current zoning code is outdated. It is internally inconsistent, and strict application can result in unconscionable and unjust results to individual property owners and to the community at large. This board is charged with interpreting and applying this flawed piece of legislation, and herein calls upon the Common Council to act forthwith to address deficiencies. As a result of the legislature's failure to act to address these deficits, this board is regularly presented with situations that are unconscionable. As outlined by both parties, the application currently before this board demonstrates the overwhelming need for the legislature to act, and to act with haste. It is the unanimous opinion of this board that while wholesale changes to the zoning code are necessary, the council must consider and adopt such amendments as are necessary to cure defects and inconsistencies as they are brought to light in proceedings such as the one before this board. For the foregoing reasons, while the appeal from the determination of the zoning enforcement officer is hereby affirmed in all respects, it is the unanimous opinion of this board that a copy of this decision should be forwarded to the Common Council with a formal request from this board that the provisions of City Code 405-27.1 be amended to address the issues addressed above. Specifically, this board requests that the council consider immediately amending the city code to delete the affordable housing guidelines set forth in the mixed-use overlay districts. Replace those guidelines with affordable housing requirements that apply throughout the city of Kingston, and that it amend the code to specifically and unambiguously permit the new construction of residential units in the mixed-use overlay districts. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, it is the determination of this board that the interpretation of the zoning enforcement officer is hereby affirmed in all respects. It is the further determination of this board that a copy of this decision shall be forwarded to the Common Council forthwith with the request and recommendation of this board that amendments to City Code Section 405-27.1 be adopted forthwith to address the issues outlined above. I need a motion and a second, and then we'll have discussion. Motion,
No, so moved.
second.
I'll second.
Mary, second. Discussion. I just would like to state that I would be remiss if I did not mention that last evening, the Common Council Finance Committee, I was present, I spoke along with the mayor. The Finance Committee voted to recommend to the full council to allocate money to fund the hiring of a consultant firm to rewrite the city zoning code as per the zoning task force recommendation. This will be a rewrite of the zoning code of the 1963 code in its entirety. So I do want to thank, on behalf of the board, the Common Council Finance Committee for supporting our recommendation and our needs, and to start the ball rolling, and then they'll receive this, assuming that this is passed. Discussion? Mary, anything?
No.
Ari? Joe?
Yes, we've had a problem with the law the way it is
Just turn it on.
situated now, and a lot of the provisions in the code are just not, have been updated at all. So we're just trying to tidy things up and work to make Kingston stronger and more attractive.
Thank you, Joe. Ryan?
I just wanted to thank Corporate Counsel Gartenstein for clarifying the inequities and ambiguities in the law that have to be corrected in order for it to be applied fairly. That's the main basis upon which I'm likely to support.
Okay, thank you. Owen, you will not be voting, but I'll give you an opportunity to speak.
I was not present at the last meeting, so I don't think it would be fair for
Okay.
me to comment on the decision, which I did have the opportunity to read. But of course, though, I wasn't present to hear any of the presentations that were done, so I just would rather not speak to the matter.
Okay, just for clarification purposes, it's not a decision until it's passed. Right now, it's a resolution
Okay.
that's been...
I just feel it wouldn't be fair to all parties that were
okay.
involved.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, at this point, why don't we have a roll call vote on this, so we have a record. Mary? Yes, that's a yes.
Yes.
Ari?
I agree.
Yes. Joe?
Yes.
I heard that one. Brian?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. That's 5-0, affirming the decision of the zoning enforcement officer regarding the Kingstonian. I'd like to thank the board for their diligence, for their attentiveness to all of the details presented to us legally, and for their consideration of this very important matter. Thank you. Yes.
I also, again, would like to thank Dan Gartenstein for his counsel and his guidance through the process.
Definitely, it was invaluable. We had a lot of questions. Okay,